your screen to configure all of the metering channels and all the metering points. So when you get into power over here, you just go down to meter setup. And then for meter setup, you have all of your channels, which are all metering points. So, you know,
A through E.
Elements. Yeah, so this one will be for 8 3-phase meters, the PS24.
Gotcha.
Or you can hook it up for a 24 single circuit application.
Which we don't like to cross between elements.
Right.
Yeah, not too much. So
I
usually,
don't- not too much. He does it because he's trying to be customer value proposition. Rather than
I get thrown into so much of that stuff anyways. Like, oh, we need to monitor a 2-pole and then this 1-pole in the same channel to save space. I'm like, all right, well, if it's going to your energy management system, it's fine. I don't care. I'll
I'll give you
program
the
it that way.
registers, you can do it.
So when you're programming these things for like a 3-phase panel or a 3-phase breaker, I usually zero out the phase shift, and then your range is going to be your CT type. So if it's 100, you know, that's fine. And what you do is you click on the CT checker and just exit out of the screen, and that'll populate the rest of your channels, which are your CT 1 through 3.
That's a little trick that was hard for us to figure out.
I didn't know. I've never seen that.
Well,
I
like,
set
wait a
these up
minute.
individually when I did it. I've done this once before.
Yeah.
So that's cool to know that.
Yeah, so and then
Where's
you know,
the CT checker that you got?
the CT checker is actually going to be on this guy. So after everything's hooked up and you've done all your programming, you go to your verify meter installation, and the PF check will tell you, you know, if it'll say bad on CT 1, 2, or 3. And
Okay.
that could be because of low load, right? Like the E1
Right.
style.
So it's still
Or-
same thing. You got to have a load 1% at least, or
I think they ask for 5%
Five,
typically,
okay.
you know, so 5 amps out of 100.
okay.
And then it'll just read bad on a CT. So you don't
Okay.
really know unless you get into the phaser plot on this guy, which is showing you live voltage and where the
Right.
CT's hooked up.
Leading and lagging voltage tells you where the current is.
Yeah,
and
it
whether
goes on the
that's-
whole vector where, yeah,
Yep.
exactly. You know, if you're probably more familiar with all the phaser plots than I am. You know, but
A little bit,
it'll
just
at least show
figures.
you where if you have like your voltage, which is like a solid red line, and your CTs will be a dotted red line. If they're at a
Right.
180, then that's an easy way to tell that your CT's on backwards.
Okay,
So they're
gotcha.
usually pointing in the same little vector.
Sure, right.
So aside from that, when you're doing your channels, the 3-phase is probably the easiest.
Okay.
If you get into branch circuit monitoring, like I get into sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
what the Dent guys always tell me to do is go down to a 2-wire 1-phase.
Okay.
And then you have a little bit more flexibility where your channel 1 and channel 2 can have different, you know, amperages.
okay, cool.
Or whatever it is.
Sweet.
In your channel by itself on this meter, we'll still read it as an aggregate. But
Okay.
when the guys bring it into energy management system, you have mapping points that
Right,
would
right.
be able to help
You just
separate.
pick that off and label it separate. right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Same thing for like I guess some of the single phase monitoring. If you're monitoring a single phase panel, you can just go to 3-wire 1-phase and you're seeing the channel 1, channel 2. If you're on a 3-phase panel, then you're gonna mainly just want to go back to your 4-wire 3-phase.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, you would go to 2-wire 1-phase, and then you can click on your CH3 right here if you're not using it and take that channel out. So
Nice.
you're still capturing only 2 of them.
Right. And then you will still just get the aggregate of that. It's not going to affect accuracy if you don't turn that off.
No.
Okay.
No, because it's mainly just sensing whatever voltage is going in and
Right,
multiplying
right.
it by whatever your
Okay.
CT is.
Awesome. Just kind of the same way emo
So
is.
what about the alarm feature? Have you played with that at all on any of these?
I haven't. No, I haven't gone into the alarm features yet. So I'll mainly do meter setups, and I'll get into communication protocols. And the communication, I mean, you're familiar with them. So the RS-45 is going to be Modbus.
Right.
And then sometimes, depending on how many of these I'm doing, I'll pre-program the slave addresses.
Where you just do like 1, 2, 3 all the way up to 254?
Yeah, so 1, and then if it's like another PS24, then the next slave address would be 9, right?
9.
So you're skipping all of the...
Oh,
Like the
inputs.
IDRs.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so you skip. Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so just like your IDRs. Sometimes what I like to do, because not all the time am I just pre-programming these right off the get-go, but if
Right.
I'm looking at single lines and I'm getting ready to come do the build out,
Yep.
I'll go to like launch a configurator and I'll you know do all the pre-mapping, so
Right.
to say. And then you could save this to a file, and then when you come out to program all of these, you can just import from that file.
Nice.
So you have like a send setup to file, and I
Right.
usually save that to whatever project folder it is.
Right. Cool.
And then from the same one, I'll retrieve the setup from file, and when you bring it in, it'll upload all of your elements to however you designed it.
Is this going to the server where you guys have all access to the same files for the customers then, or?
That would be ideal. For right now, it's mainly going to whatever project folder.
Project folder that we're not doing a good job on sharing those folders.
Yeah.
He'll have his set of folders. He may be
Yeah.
copying on quotes and all that. Some way or another we are managing, but we would love to have it just a place where we're going to central place. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
so
server,
everyone can
for sure.
take a look at all this
we'll-
stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know. We may have, as I get the website built out to where we upload to a TBWC
Yeah.
server.
FTP site or whatever, right?
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll do my build outs that way. Trying to find something that I could show you for diagrams. Yes, this one. And then we have like these little submittal sheets.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
this
saw
one's,
those.
this one's kind of bold. And,
That's the old MMU one.
yeah, these are the old MMU
I
ones.
think I've seen the new one. You said them in the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have them right here. I have them in my regular folder. Let me see. Get on my projects. CT load schedule. And then this is kind of just the roadmap on what CTs are going to which panels.
Right.
And I'll provide that to our contractors.
Are they pretty familiar with the labeling on these, or do you have to provide something a little more detailed?
Sometimes.
Provide it.
Yeah, we'll provide them one of these.
Okay.
So they
Oh,
know
this
they
is
have all
actually
CTs.
this
Yeah.
is showing these. Okay.
Yeah, so your meter IDs, A, B, your voltage, the reference for the panel.
I know the one
CT
thing I
amps.
want to do a white paper on for people that are doing installs, and just so I don't forget, is these middle pins aren't used when you're using the 333s. That's the way I got it to work at Shanty's, because you have 3 pins right here.
Yeah, you don't use the shielded typically.
Right.
When you're using the shielded, that's only being used with the rope
Yeah.
styles.
Right. Pluses and minuses all we use, and shield we left off. Yeah,
Yeah,
the rope
it's-
style. Right.
Yeah, so you leave those things off.
So I mean, but electrician isn't going to know that. He's like, I got 2 wires. Where do I put the 2 wires into 3 wires?
I had that call earlier. So usually what I'll do is when I'm doing any of these things, if I'm using, because these things will take in 2 voltages. So if you're
Right.
on a primary and
If
secondary
you order them
side
that
of-
way, because you can order them without. Because
I always sell them with both of them anyways.
Yeah, right,
Here you go,
exactly.
because if you need it.
Yeah,
But
that's
so
smart.
sometimes I'll put V1 and then the voltage reference.
smart.
Because when you're inside these programs, right here you have your volt
Yes,
input.
you can choose which one, and if
So
you
you
don't,
can choose.
yeah.
So if the
doesn't
guys
pick
get it backwards, then you're going to be referencing the wrong stuff.
Right,
And your
and you're gonna
value's
have to
just
go
gonna
back
be
and
off.
V input
reprogram.
1, 208, V input 2,
Awesome.
480.
40. Yep.
So I put V1. I'll put the 3P4W to make sure the guys are actually bringing in full phase
yeah,
power.
right.
Because sometimes the guys will be like, oh well,
You just had
it's
somebody
at
hook up
208.
single phase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's at 208, so I just brought 120, and I was like, well, guys, I need 3-phase power. He's like, oh, well, your thing didn't say it, and I was like,
I
all
know.
right. I'm like, all right, well, I can't knock him. Let's just for future.
Right, right.
This is how we're going to be doing it now.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much about it.
That was cool because the only thing that got me was the phase shift, and I just left it at 0 because I didn't know what it was for, so I did good.
Yeah, they have different phase shifts for all of them. So 1.1 is on their HSCs. The SRS is like 0.1.
What do you use for the watt core ones?
We just go to 0.
Okay. That's
Zero
what I
it
use.
out.
Good.
And then even if you send, your meter configuration over, if you ever wanted to check it, like if this was set for 100, to make sure I sent it off to that element, sometimes I'll go back to 20, and
Right.
on this top it'll say retrieve setup from meter, and if you
Okay.
hit that button, it'll tell you what your meter is already programmed
Right,
to.
gotcha.
So it's just an additional,
To
way
make,
to make
double
sure
check.
that
Yeah, cool.
you're getting your 400s where you want them.
It's easy to stop and come back and miss a line, and then all of a sudden you got to go back and redo everything. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Or even if you're doing the setup from the file,
right.
if you're using 2 of these lines, it'll almost always enable your line 3 again. So you just have to go back and take that off.
select it.
Right.
Yeah, deselect. So
Okay.
aside from that, it's been working pretty good for us. I haven't had
Yeah.
any issues on
That's
it.
awesome. That's way better than the way they're doing it at Honeywell, because you know what a pain that is to pull teeth to get a contractor to fill out startup forms.
Yeah.
And they always get mad at us. It's like, why do I have to do all this stuff? It's like, you shouldn't have to, and you don't have to anymore.
They never do it.
Yeah.
Really. So,
No, they don't.
Because this thing's not plugged in, I couldn't necessarily show you where the. Sometimes if I do it fast. Come on, let me in.
I got another HD24 that you shipped for Chanty at my house still, so don't forget I got that one too. But Chanty has that one he already built him for.
Oh man, close me out.
And Dell from the city, he's moved on, so I'm trying to find out who the new point of contact is over to get training.
So when these things are plugged in, you can see more of the advanced stuff on their actual software.
Right.
You can
So
see
the
the
bench
power
here,
coming
so
in.
the bench, it doesn't